A2IM, the collective voice of independent music.
Hi, my name is Heather. I'm joining you, CEO of 99 Lives, and I have the incredible opportunity to moderate this panel for A2IM. We're talking about streaming platforms, the new frontier, master hybrid platform. And we're really excited to meet with representatives from TikTok and Facebook to discuss some of the ways that labels can be better about promoting their content and embracing content creators as kind of a vehicle for promoting their content on platforms. So without further ado, we've got Tracy from TikTok and we have Jamie Sampson from Facebook. I'll let them introduce themselves.
I'm Tracy Gardner. I head up our commercial discussions, the labels, and also work really closely with our music operations team that handles more campaigns, promotions, to make sure that labels and artists are getting the most that they can out of the platform, while we handle commercials with the labels.
And Jamie?
Awesome. I'm Jamie Sampson. I manage independent label and distributor partnerships in North America for Facebook and Instagram. I'm based in Menlo Park, or my office is based in Menlo Park, or was based in Menlo Park until COVID. But for that reason, I actually do quite a bit of product work on behalf of our team. So this is actually a fun panel to be on, because I expect we'll touch on the ways music products on our platform help influence artists in their careers.
It's actually a really cool, unique hybrid space, and it's kind of developing these new tastemakers for the industry. In the past, it's always been like blogs or playlists, and now we have this whole new set of influencer that can really affect how far our reach is with our music. So, so speaking of which, like currently on platforms like Twitch, there is kind of like what they call a bounty board, where content creators and influencers on their platform have the ability to like pick a product and promote it as an incentive. And likewise, in like the space with TikTok or Instagram or Facebook, there are third-party companies that allow you to reach out to influencers for promotion. And is there any talk of potentially doing that directly within your platforms that allow us to, directly reach out to content creators and get them to use our music in their content?
I'm happy to jump in. So what we have is actually, we already have something that's a great tool that's called the Creator Marketplace, that basically provides information about our top creators, such as reach, demographics, average views, and it allows then the content, or the labels and the artists to connect directly with those creators. It's kind of like a matchmaking system. And then once they make that connection, we step out of the picture and let them deal with how they want to move forward on their own, which I think is nice because it keeps the conversation directly between them. And then secondly, I think one thing that we always talk about dealing with creators is a strategy around that, right? And I think instead of taking marketing dollars and pushing them into all these tier one creators, what we have found to be a better plan is to sort of spread those dollars across tier two creators that are across entirely different verticals, see what works, and then kind of roll the money up from there to the tier one creators, because every single song is going to work differently. And I think especially seeing the diversification across our platform, from do-it-yourself to fashion to beauty to cooking, why not throw a lot out there, see what sticks, and then roll up from there.
And you mentioned tier two content creators. Kind of, do you talk about what like constitutes that? It sounds like you're mid-tier almost.
Well, yeah, so mid-tier. So I mean, there's that sort of, just based on obviously followers, and then average views. So we have that component. And then, on top of that, we do help artists connect directly with creators in order to build sort of the relationships and the authentic connections. So we're happy, we're involved in that as well, but there is, as you're asking, sort of like an independent way for artists and labels to connect with those creators.
That's cool. We take a different angle with it. I think seeing about getting creators and influencers, or viewing musicians as creators and influencers, and pairing them with brands that might be looking to, find an influencer, or musician, or creator to help drive awareness of the product. There's a tool on Facebook called Brand Collaborations Manager that actually lets artists sign themselves up with certain criteria and certain types of brands that they would like to be paired with. And on the flip side, the brands can actually go in and search for certain types of influencers or artists or creators that they would like to be paired with. And it's almost like a matchmaking service for the artists and the brands. And that does a lot to help, to help brands find influencers on our platform that they might not otherwise be aware of. And it's certainly a possible revenue source for artists who might not know that certain brands are looking for them, or might feel uncomfortable sort of raising the flag for all brands to reach out. They can actually tailor that inbound to the type of company they would feel comfortable working with.
That's fantastic. Yeah. Being able to kind of target, just also like understanding what the demographic is for your music, right?
Yeah,
and being able to target that particular audience as opposed to kind of just throwing it out there to the universe. It sounds like both of you guys have that, where you actually be able to understand the demographic using our music and our content.
Totally.
That artists are now influencers / creators themselves as well, so I'm sure I suppose the more they engage, the more they get out of it, and the more that they can sort of get that reach as well.
Yeah, and I think it also helps build off-platform relationships. I think, that our platforms, who knows how long they will be around, and hopefully for a very long time, but, the human relationships created between either a brand or an artist or an influencer and an artist, can serve the purpose on many platforms. So I think that's valuable that they discover that with us.
I think that's one of the things that's really unique about the streaming space as opposed to, broadcast media, is that there's an engagement factor with the actual content creator that doesn't always necessarily exist, either through comments or through live chat elements. Kind of speaking to that, with everything that's kind of happened right now, we found that a lot of artists have, had to cancel tours and in-person events. And we're seeing that a lot of them are turning to these platforms to find ways to either, perform for their audiences or continue to connect with their audiences, or even use them for promotion of album releases, something that we just really haven't seen a ton of engagement on because it's always so focused on the tour. Can you guys speak a little bit to how artists have used your platform so far to do something similar?
I'll jump in. I mean, it was almost like an instant switch was flipped for us. All of a sudden, the entirety of the music industry was using Facebook and Instagram. And Facebook, again, I mean, the thing is, not to say that Facebook had been underused by the music community, but certainly Instagram has always been the cool, younger brother of Facebook. And the usage at Instagram went up, but the usage at Facebook for live streams went really, really spiked. And so, the onus became on us to start figuring out how can we actually help the artist communities, either, at a baseline level, drive awareness of their live streams and help them, for some of the bigger artists, put donate buttons and help their fans donate money to good causes that are being hurt during this time. But also for some of the younger developing artists, help them recover some revenue. So, the old adage at Facebook is move fast and break things. And we have definitely moved fast to create some products that I think are going to help in that space. We're in beta with one right now called Stars, which allows fans of an artist to donate a star to an artist, almost like a tip to the artist. It's a creator specific product that, says, I appreciate what you're doing as the creator. Let me give you stars. 1 star equals 1 penny. We're seeing, upwards of $1,000, $2,000 in stars being given to some artists when they go live. It's a really, and this is just in beta right now. It's closed beta. It's going to open up, but there's been a little press about it. And it really highlights, I think, what a service like ours can do in the absence of anything else out there. To help, reduce that friction from just having a PayPal link or a Venmo link, and actually let the fan, give that appreciation to the artist in real time. it's been wild to see, frankly. I'm sure, Tracy, you've probably experienced this sort of weird dichotomy of all of a sudden being busier maybe than you've ever been, and at home.
Totally. It's been a real pleasure and an honor to be part of a platform that has been able to pivot so quickly, and just to see all the cross-functional teams getting together to bring the authenticity that is the base of our platform into people's homes for fans to connect directly with the artist, and in a way, again, that isn't, I think a lot of the at homes, they're just not as perfect as produced streams sometimes are. But I think that's what people need right now in this time, right? Like seeing everyone being authentic and connecting in a way that is opening yourself up more. And I think we've seen, from like Lizzo doing like beatbox machine songs, and then different artists even letting themselves out of their element. I think Jason Derulo commented just on how TikTok has let him connect more with his fans more than ever, because he feels like he can be more himself. So to be part of that and bring those live streams, and I think we've done things from like the TikTok prom, where the revenues that were, or sorry, the monies that were donated were focusing on music and artists, and then we encouraged users to donate to Music Cares, and then TikTok Homecoming, where we put on a dance with Dylan Francis DJing live, and then we actually started out with Happy at Home. That culminated, so that had different sort of focuses every night from 5 to 8. There was Edu Talk, where Bill Nye was on talking about science, and then on the last day, on the Friday, was Soundcheck Friday, which was hosted by Alicia Keys, and you featured Jason Derulo, Megan Thee Stallion, Megan Trainor, and others. And then what then has been great is kind of what I touched on before, is seeing the diversification in the platform and the users that are on the platform and the creations they're making. So now we've created Sound Off, where users can connect with artists besides music. So watching them cook, watching humor, jokes, so different types of things like that. So it's been really a great project to see everyone come together. As I'm sure you've seen, a lot more work, but definitely well worth it.
Yeah, I think your point that you just made about fans watching the artist do something other than music, cook, create, whatever it might be, like there's the one part of it where we've helped serve artists, and help them generate revenue. But for fans, it's been just such an enlightening experience. And, we've got verses going on Instagram, which, I'm sure you're probably aware of. But even just the artists that are live streaming that weren't live streaming or doing anything like that for, who knows how long, suddenly there they are. And I think what's super important for both you and for us is that it's starting to train fans to look to our platforms as an outlet for where to find this content. And, historically doing that live stream was a really difficult proposition when there was the alternative of actually going to a show. But now that we're all starting to become aware that it can be an entertaining and valuable experience, like it's not a terrible idea to say, you know what I'm going to do on Friday night? Like this band's doing a live stream and I'm actually going to stay in and order some food and watch some music, and instead of going out, and I don't have to wear a mask and do all these things. It's sort of a new paradigm that's being created in real time.
For sure.
One of the biggest current concerns for some of us in the music space is how to translate that activity to plays on Spotify or Apple Music, those various DSPs where we see a lot of our revenue come in. And things like Shazam, like if you find a song, you can actually automatically add it to a playlist. That's kind of a really cool feature because it doesn't take you out of the application, but allows us to save it for a later date to listen to. Are features like that kind of coming down the road? Like, can you speak to how we can translate that traffic from your platform to maybe revenue sources like DSPs?
Sure, happy to jump in. Well, I mean, I think that currently over the past few months, that's speaking for itself. With respect to TikTok, there's been several weeks where the top 10 artists in the Hot 100 chart on Billboard have become viral in TikTok first. And, you're seeing that translate over to sort of the the other platform, the Spotify's, the Apple Music, the Deezer. So I think that's exciting for everyone to see. But then I think with respect to incorporating that in, we're always looking for feedback and listening to artists and labels. So of course, that's something that we're always looking forward to. But we're just happy to see that we're helping not only the developed artists find success and increased streams on platforms, but also an artist that literally made their first song in their bedroom 3 weeks before it became viral on TikTok, and then ends up on Spotify or Apple. So happy to be part of that platform.
Yeah, I've noticed that you guys actually have a playlist on Spotify now, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. Sorry to interrupt you, JB. Go for it.
No, that's okay. That is super cool. I didn't realize TikTok had a playlist on Spotify. I like that. I think that, it also gets to the question, I think well, number one, I'll start with answering the question specifically, which is, Instagram and Facebook, but really Instagram stories, the real driver has historically been the swipe up in the story that artists, they drop in the swipe up. If they don't have access to the swipe up, it's put the link in the bio and then, tap out to, the revenue source that we might be talking about. From a DSP standpoint, Spotify, Apple, whatever it might be, we always encourage artists to, if you're going to drop the single, use the music sticker with the song, add the swipe up link to bring it to a smart URL. It goes to the DSP of, the user's choice. And that's an easy win. One of the things we've seen artists doing and do successfully is that, occasionally they will actually release the song as an Instagram music sticker before it's available on the services. So then the swipe up goes to pre-save the download or the album on their profile at Spotify or Apple Music or wherever it might be. So you can get the added benefit of the song being viral before it's even available to stream on the services. One of the things I love about that is that in order to hear the clip of the song when you can't hear it anywhere else, is that you either need to follow the artist or share the song yourself. So, the artist gets the benefit of the song actually being heard by as many people as possible. You add that swipe up link from your own account to go pre-save it. And then if anyone else wants to hear the song, they actually have to share it themselves. So that's a cool sort of trick that artists have been doing on our platform to drive and get streams and drive awareness.
And is that something that a label could send through the distributor?
Totally, yeah.
That's
fantastic. Just send it ahead of time, send it with a different release date. The ops teams can figure that out for sure.
One of the other kind of things that we've used a lot on some of these platforms have been boosting posts, right? And I think this more speaks to Instagram, Facebook, but a couple other platforms allow the support of you post content and then how do you get it to the top of someone's feed, right? And get it noticed. And so sometimes it's really super effective and other times it feels like it can't be targeted to a proper demographic. And can you speak to some of those tools that are either currently available, looking how you improve them so we can better target our demographics, thoughts on adding more of those capabilities?
I think the short answer to that is that Facebook and Instagram are always working on figuring out better targeting. I mean, it is the core of the business. I think talking about this question at this time is a unique proposition just because the competition, the usage on the platform has gone up, which means the competition for eyeballs has also gone up. So, the short answer is always, obviously the more money an artist will spend, the more reach they're going to get on the platform, right? That's, not always the easiest answer or the easiest answer to hear, but it is certainly, a problem solver for sure. I think, it's a good question in terms of how to optimize that. Just traditional ads best practices with targeting and, using the signals as much as you can, making sure you have a pixel so that you're getting as much information about your audiences as possible. And then taking that back and creating data sets and audience sets around it. I mean, it feels a little 101, but it is, it works, and that's why our platforms are successful at that, is because, those basics around, how to spend your ad dollars are effective. And, I could, when you start talking about advertising on Instagram and Facebook, you could spend like a whole week talking about it. But, there's basic things like on our platforms, like A/B testing, or audience comparisons, where, if you want to know which audience reacts to what in your post, you can actually find that out. And then, if you spend $25 doing a test to see what audiences like most, you can then spend $500 on the thing that they like the most. There's all kinds of ways to test out what works with your audiences inside the ads platforms. And, at this time when there's so much competition around eyeballs and usage is so high, I really, like, anyone who's watching this, or any artists that are watching this, like, take the Facebook and Instagram blueprint courses for advertising, and which we have on our platforms, and just, learn some basic tips. And it goes such a long way in terms of, optimizing who gets your content, who gets your boosts, and making sure that they actually engage with it.
So that was actually the next question I had, is like, do you guys have any educational resources to better understand some of these marketing tools that are available to artists and labels? Sounds like you actually have like a full course.
Yeah, and if I don't know if A2IM is putting a page together, or sort of creating collateral around what panelists talk about, but I'm certainly happy to share with anyone, links to these, these trainings we have online. We do have a music specific ads course on Facebook that's really valuable.
Kind of on the opposite side of TikTok, I think one of the biggest things there is like, how do you make a video viral? Like, that's the big thing, is like, and I know that there's like no secret sauce on how that works, but I think we've all tried to figure out, like, how do you make something kind of just grab that attention? And any thoughts as to that, or trends that you guys have seen that you're willing to share that
So I think,
go for it.
What's really important to remember is that TikTok is just fundamentally a different platform from everything else that's out there. It's the users that are driving the trends, and they are the ones telling us what's going to go viral. I think it's so different from a platform like a Spotify or an Apple, where if you're able to get a song on a particular playlist, you usually know that certain results might come of that. Not all the time, but sometimes. But here, I think the most important thing that we tell the artists and labels is just to believe in the power of the community. And it's almost, the authenticity will speak for itself. And oftentimes labels will come in and they have a single that they want to work, but perhaps it's the next track of the album that actually starts bubbling up. And it's so important for the labels to be agile and to adapt and recognize, we're not going to keep pushing this if this is already signaling that it's going to work, and just, I think along with that is just the traditional month-long sort of marketing promotion strategies just don't work on TikTok. But by a month out, things have already evolved. The platform's changed. Users have, been heard as to what is working for them. So that's probably the number one thing that we always tell artists and labels. It's such a different platform. And as content continues to evolve, I think everyone suddenly thinks dance challenge, and oftentimes think about what works for your artist. Maybe your artist fans might not relate as much to a dance challenge. Maybe they relate to a cooking challenge or something else along those lines. So I think it's just thinking, what can people at home most relate to when trying to figure out what creations will end up proving to engage the fans in the TikTok community.
sauce that we were all still trying to figure out. It's just so different from what we're used to. And a lot of times what we think is going to be a hit on a chart or on a playlist just doesn't resonate with the TikTok audience in the same level. And I think that's been, I don't know if anyone's just really figured it out yet, or if it's just some like secret on the internet no one's found yet, but it's
important to the people.
I fell in love with TikTok when the Home Depot theme song went viral, and I just thought that was just like hilarious that kids were sharing videos of like pretending to be their parents in a home department store, like with the Home Depot theme song. It's just like, what a great like random thing to go viral.
I will say that, consistently the things that I expect to go viral are fantastic. Like they're not bad, but the ones that do always just, I'm like, oh my gosh, the ingenuity behind that, like that's clever. I wish I had thought of it.
I think what's interesting too is that as the platform has evolved, seeing that it's not just kids creating, I think, the oven door sensation with the mom, I think you see parents, you see grandparents involved, and even like, the flip the switch ones. I mean, I saw some hilarious grandpas and grandmas on there. So that's been fascinating to watch evolve as well.
Interesting. It's a different demographic, that is for sure, and a wider reaching one than I've expected in the past. But it's been fun to explore. Kind of speaking of which, so last question, outside of just a general understanding what your plans for the future are. Some labels like us, we've started kind of almost altering our metadata to better fit what the searchability and discovery is. And so, like for example, there's a Rolling Stone article that speaks to a label that had a song, and the lyrics were "I Love You, Baby," but the title was ILY, and it made searchability difficult, right? So they actually reset the metadata and changed the title to "I Love You" so that it could be searchable. Can you guys speak at all about like searchability and discoverability, and like how to make and position our tracks in a way that if they do kind of catch on, like how can we make fans recognize, like, find it for future videos or future content?
I guess it's my turn to go first.
Sure, you go.
I think it's almost like take a step back, and we tell artists and labels, get a profile on the platform. So many artists are not on there, and I think our teams are always available and ready to sort of share best practices. I think some of the things like you were talking about, sometimes some of the labels are actually testing snippets of songs to see what kind of takes off. So that's another way I think that you can try to get involved with discovery. And a lot of artists and labels we see make songs around different trends that are going on just in the general day-to-day life. So obviously that's what's going on. But again, I just go back to, if you listen to the power of the community and what they're doing, then that should be advice enough as to where to go from there. And maybe that means, like you said, maybe that means changing the name of the song. Maybe that means getting involved in some sort of challenge that's going on. So there's so much that can be done to direct users to different discovery and creations.
Yeah, I think for our platform, and probably for you too, Tracy, a lot of the content that gets popular, I mean, there's always the popular content, right? Like pop music is pop music. And, if you look in the popular tab on Instagram music, you're going to see basically a reflection of what's big right now. But when you start diving a little deeper, we see the usage sort of, people are adding songs to their videos because of what the video is, not because of what the song is. A good example of that is, last year, there was a red moon. I think it was January of 2019. A red moon, globally, like it was a once in a however long thing. And, we went through some records or some data and saw that songs like La Vie en Rose, which is, a French jazz song, you know, who knows how long, 30, 40 years old, like spiked in some areas. And it was like, why did that happen? And all of a sudden you realize it was because, oh, people were taking a picture of a red moon and searching for the right song to add to it, you know? And, you know, when you start to recognize that it's not that yes, the music drives the sharing, but the video oftentimes will drive what song is being added to it. I think you can start to think about how does it work differently. I mean, I have been waiting for so long, and for artists just to create like a 15-second song called Brunch, you know, and deliver it to Instagram, and then, you know, every Saturday and Sunday on Instagram, that song is going to do really, really well. Anyone who's watching this, write your 15-second Brunch song. You know, like it sort of gets to the, you know, the previous point about driving traffic to revenue sources. You know, is there a day, or will there come a time in which TikTok and Instagram will be the end point, where, you know, you're creating the music for that platform, not as a vehicle to drive to some other platform? You know, I'm not saying that is good or not good. Obviously, you know, we want to help our artists drive as much revenue off our platform as we possibly can. But, you know, the nature of how our product is being used is such that, you know, there is the popularity factor and the popular music factor, but also the, you know, using it as your own personal music supervisor factor, you know, and you're looking for the song to fit the video that you have. And I think, or I'm hoping that over time, artists start to recognize that there's a real like lane to be filled by creating music that is going to fit, you know, uses with visual content.
I think that, yeah, it kind of goes back to the fact that these new platforms are starting to create a whole new set of tastemakers, right?
Yeah.
For content and for music. And I think there's just a unique opportunity and just tons of room to grow as far as utilizing these platforms to push that medium. So I really, truly appreciate both of your time. I think that's all we have time for. I think the only other question I might have is that, you know, you mentioned feedback being a key point to, you know, developing these tools. Where's the best way for us to, you know, as labels, artists, rights holders, to give you guys feedback about things that we might be looking for?
Me. You know, in the audience, okay. if you guys are watching, Jamie Sampson at fb.com. I don't, you know, I don't mind throwing my email address out there. I'll get back to you, or follow me on Instagram at Jamie Sampson. DM me
for that French video.
Yeah, for real.
And Tracy over at TikTok, best resource for feedback.
Yeah, I mean, I think most of the labels hopefully have a contact there. But, you know, same if anyone wants to reach out, it's tracy.gardner@tiktok.com, and we'll get you in touch with the right person.
That's great. Thank you again, and I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your indie week.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.